All right. Good morning, everybody. Good evening if you're in Europe like I am. My name is Kaisu, and this is Dawn Mountain Sunday Meditation. We're going to start with our aspiration and Shantideva verse, like always. If you have this laminated sheet printed out, that's great. If you remember it by heart, also good. Or you can just listen and sit quietly in your seat. May all beings always have happiness and its causes. May all beings always free of pain and its causes. May all beings always be pain-free and live happily. May no beings ever cling to those near nor spurn those far. For as long as space abides, as long as the world remains, just so long may I be there, resolving all beings' pain. As we hear these verses, these familiar, but always so impactful verses, I find, let us start settling already to our meditation practice. We can begin by feeling into our deep seat, whether we're sitting on a cushion or chair or a wooden meditation stool like I am. Just tune into your physical being, your body, your sense of center of gravity. And let us briefly scan through our bodies just to settle, arrive kind of into our shared practice space. So we can start feeling into our toes, foot soles, whether they're supported by the floor or cushion, our shins and calves. We can simultaneously feel both of our knees, our thighs, our pelvic area, which feels supported. And then our spine, which we let kind of hold its natural curve, though we want to sit upright. So you can just take a moment to sway maybe from side to side to find a comfortable balanced center point. Just we can tuck our chin in just a little bit to elongate the spine and kind of elevate our crown. So really we aim to sit in an upright position, but very natural. And also during the meditation, it's okay to refresh your posture. If you notice you've slumped at any point or there is a need to just rearrange, reorganize your posture a little bit, just do that. We can feel our hands and palms resting either on our thighs or in our lap. And our shoulders can kind of hang like from a coat hanger. Really, there's no need to hold them tightly or upright. And same goes for our neck. Just, we can try and keep everything kind of loose and easy. Easy. And when we arrive to our head and face, where we always, or not always, but often hold a lot of tension, we can just check how our cheek and jaw feels like. You can even touch it if you like, but we can just relax our face, basically, our mouth, jaw, and eyes are, in a way, I'm inviting you to keep them anyway soft, keep your gaze soft. If you really over energetic, hyperactive, you could try and close your eyes for a little bit. That's why I'm kind of keeping my eyes a little bit closed, so you can kind of moderate depending on your energy level. And if this morning you feel more like sleepy, drowsy, you could choose to open them more and even just gaze a little bit upward. Always keeping the gaze soft, not really focusing on anything particular. And in our tradition, we typically meditate eyes open, gazing a little bit downward, just that we're not trying to exclude the environment where we are in. But like I said, you're welcome to moderate a little bit the external stimuli with your eyes closed or more or less open. So now that we kind of have started to settle to our meditation practice, I thought before we get into the practice today, I would just say a few words about something that I've been experimenting with in my practice lately. And I'm hoping that this will be inspiring to you. And if not, you can just listen to my words very lightly. I'm inviting you to listen to them meditatively. So I'm just talking from my heart. It's not a lecture, but so what I wanted to share with you today relates to my recent practice and processing of grief after unexpected loss of a dear friend and collaborator. And very early on in that process, through some intuitive manner, I found a website that presented a list of plants that support processing grief. And I thought that is something I'm gonna now experiment with. So I took this list and I went to the garden center and I bought the first 3 plants on the list. These are plants that I haven't had before. I wouldn't typically gravitate towards even, but I thought that's worth trying. Wasn't necessarily able to think that's even interesting. It gave me something to do, and I thought I need to surround myself with life. And there I was, and I purchased the first 3 plants with care. I really took my time in the store. I compared different plants and let the plant kind of choose me in a way. And when I got home, I started practicing with these 3 plants. So the idea of the list is that different plants support with aspects or phases of grief in different manner. And even though the process is often non-linear, we can distinguish certain qualities and emotional states to be supported by or represented by particular plants and flowers. So the first flower or plant is an orchid. And actually, our teachers often have an orchid presented when they're teaching, but I never had an orchid myself. And I now chose this deep purple miniature orchid, which the list said would support an experience of shock and disbelief, which is often the first response to when you lose a loved one. And I started sitting with this orchid, gazing it lightly, softly, but also kind of studying it with my eyes. The incredible delicacy, is that a word? How delicate it is. How incredibly detailed this miniature orchid. It almost feels unbelievable that that design would exist, that that would emerge in nature, and that does emerge in nature. So I guess if you really, when I really paid close attention to this orchid, there was a sense of, if not other kind of disbelief, but a slight sense of awe. And that did give me relief from the overpowering shock of the loss of my friend. And I also, at the same time, had other intense emotions, and I started to work with the second plant on the list, which is the Venus flytrap. Very interesting plant. Something that, as a vegan, I typically wouldn't gravitate towards in a store. Also, the plant looks odd, which in itself is not a bad thing, but really the behavior of it, the kind of unapologetic shape and activity that the plant manifests was, according to the list, supporting in feelings of guilt, regret, bargaining. What if I would have done this or that? So this plant, which in nature lives in swamp, always needs a very moist ground to live. I thought, how am I going to feed it, since I'm not wanting to kill insects? So when I found a dead fly on the floor, I decided to feed it to the fly trap. And that was another moment of, in a way, cruelness, but more still awe. That when I gently placed the fly, the body of the fly, in between the petals of the fly trap, even though I assume it never had eaten any insects before, it just intuitively, instinctively, genetically knew what to do. And the petals quickly closed, and they even have these like eyelash-like feathers that just tightly close the fly's body inside. And even though this is not something I would have ever thought I would practice as a hobby or plant caregiver, there was something about this life cycle that the plant demonstrated in front of me. And because it didn't look beautiful in an aesthetic manner, it just was what it was, raw and accepting the nutrients of the fly. I feel like it also somehow did help me to give a place to very, very difficult emotions of guilt and regret. That plant didn't have guilt or regret. It just was what it was. And I'm kind of glad I bought the first three plants together, because the emotions kind of looped, iterated, went back and forth. And pretty soon I also had feelings of anger. And the third plant was supporting me in that, and is supporting me in that. And that is the cactus. Well, one kind of cactus. And meditating with this little miniature cactus, looking at its shape and color, which are both kind of vague, because the spines are so fine, they're almost like hair. It looks furry from a distance, as if it's fluffy, you could touch it, but with very close, careful looking. And because the background knowledge tells me it's very well protected. It's almost isolated. Well, it is. Primarily from the harsh conditions of the desert where it's naturally living. But it did give me a sense of boundaries, setting healthy boundaries. I think anger could be also taken as such, experienced as a need to set boundaries. And there is something sympathetic about the little cactus, how determined it is, and also how lonely anger can make us feel if it's prolonging. Now, I'm going to the fourth plant out of 5. And the fourth plant is supporting in deep sadness that I guess we would mostly associate with grief. Sadness, isolation, depression. And that is the monstera. It's the large, leafy plant that is actually sitting now with us behind me. It's a very interesting plant. Monstera. The name itself derives from Latin monstrous, abnormal. The large leaves, which naturally have holes. However, the plant is also edible. And how I experienced it, because most of the time it's been sitting here next to me, really next to me. I haven't been looking at it, but I felt its presence, seeing the plant in the corner of my eye, towering over me, as if sheltering the large leaves, which also grow very quickly. They grow tall and they provide shelter, shade, protection. Also, this plant, according to NASA, is able to absorb toxins from air. So it's often sold as an air purifying plant, which I thought would be kind of a plant world version of Tonglen, really. So I've been kind of breathing with this monstera and holding shelter underneath it. And the last plant I'm going to now bring in is the oxalis, which probably has another name in English, but basically is more like a grass sort to be grown outdoors. It's very modest. There's nothing glossy or sparkly about it. It's a symbol of good luck, basically, because it has 4 petals. But it's a plant that is symbolizing or manifesting the upward turn, hope. And I do understand now why. Because that modest grass-like plant is very, very responsive to sunlight. It opens up in the morning and it closes the leaves in the evening. If it doesn't receive enough water, it actually can collapse over I have it in a pot, and you might think, oh, it died. But it didn't. So you give it water and it wakes up again. So it's a very light and responsive plant. And I mentioned I've been breathing with these plants, sitting with them, gazing them, but especially with the oxalis one, I've been also using my touch consciousness, touching the leaves, which are slightly velvety. They're thin, but not super fragile. And I've been saying to the plant, that good morning, my upward turn. And so, apart from meditative practice, quiet practice, just the act of taking care of the plants, having an object of to care about something and acknowledging their qualities has been in moments comforting. And so this I wanted to share with you this morning. And I think I'm gonna end with saying that also there has been many moments that the only practice I found accessible was simple shamatha meditation that we're also now gonna practice. And that it just demonstrated to me very clearly that for me personally, when things go really difficult, our Sunday meditation practice can be so vital, despite of receiving many other teachings and more complex teachings. This one focusing on your breath, it just it can be kind of a backbone, lifeline. So with that, we're now gonna transition from my stories. We can just quickly return to our bodies again and let the words fade away. And we're just gonna move to our Sunday meditation practice, which includes two different modalities. First one is following our process of breathing, and the second one is chanting the sacred syllable home. And I'm gonna explain that when we get there. But let us start just by following quietly our breath. You can take a sigh if you like, just to tune into your breath. And this is completely up to you whether you want to focus on particular body part where you feel your breath, such as under your nostrils, throat, chest perhaps, or in your deep belly, if you're able to relax your belly, or whether you more focus on the overall experience of breathing. And when thoughts come in, we just notice them, no big deal. And we gently return our attention to our breath. So we're gonna do that for a while in silence. And let us now shift to our second mode in this practice, which is chanting the sacred syllable Hum. And we do that twice each breath in our own rhythm and pace for about a couple of minutes. So if you're willing to open your mic, we could kind of create a shared field of sound. If you don't have to, if you're not comfortable with that. Doesn't need to sound beautiful. It will be beautiful anyway. So let us now chant Hum Hum. And when it feels complete, we're gonna return to our breath. We can see how our posture is. We can kind of feel the resonance of the chanting. Just make a light note whether anything shifted in your body and experience. And then we continue following our breath for a while. And let us chant Hung Hong once more for a couple of minutes. Let us settle to our breath for a few more minutes. Just check in again how your body and experience of your body and presence is at the moment. In a few minutes, we're gonna do our closing prayers. But before that, let us just tune for a moment to a sense of gratitude that we were allowed to practice together today, this morning, that we were feeling well enough to participate and kind of feel the Sangha support, which is really, really lovely and precious. So we can be grateful for that. And we can also enjoy in ourselves that we did come to practice today. And when I invite you to start returning to the room you're in, you might just want to stretch a little bit. And we're now going to do our dedication, prayer, and blessing. And then I'm going to read the names that are in the chat. By this good may I swiftly once become a great guru, lead all beings, everyone, to reach to that very ground. With all of you in mind, we light this lamp of clarity. May the glow of love, wisdom shine within us, everyone. Will we all rise forth burning, one enlightened mandala. And we dedicate the merit of our practice together for all beings, and especially to the following: Jim Post and Tim Horman in the Bardo, Sylvia, Rolando, Nathaniel, Emma, Ed, Leah, Jamsey, Bert, Alan, Pierre, Sylvie, Zaz, Mim, Louise, Kristen, Paul, Nate, Solomon, Rick Wilson, Hospice, Karina, Radim in the Bardo, Kenny Gowan, Bardo, Riley the dog in the Bardo, Peter Lloyd Jones in the Bardo for the last day today. All suffering animals, planet Earth, our teachers, our Sangha. And let us conclude our practice with chanting Ah once together, and we can visualize white light coming from our bodies, our chest, and to radiating to all beings in this practice, in our cities, country, continent, planet, and as far as your imagination is willing to go. Thank you, everybody, for participating. Really good to see your faces. So appreciate it. Emily, do we have announcements at this point?
Yes, we do. So next Sunday at 1 p.m. Central Time, we'll have the Yeshe So-Gil student-led practice. The following Friday begins our next Dzogchen Cycles Retreat, Avalokiteshvara Dzogchen Part 2. That's Friday, September 30th through Sunday, October 2nd. We will not have our first Sunday and Sunday meditation that Sunday on the 2nd. The following week, we will celebrate Anne's 75th birthday at noon Central Time, Sunday, the 9th. The following Tuesday, the 11th, we will have Buddhist contemplation for self-other distancing. It's Tuesday night at 7 as part of the Houston Coalition Against Hate Time of Perspective event, this year on the topic of revolutionary love. The following Saturday, the 15th, we're going to have our full cycles follow-up meeting and our Mitra meeting and our Saturday sadhana practice. And then Lama Tenzin returns to Dawn Mountain on Friday, November 4th for his All Creating Majesty retreat going through Sunday, November 6th.
And the only thing that you left out in this very thoroughgoing was coming Tuesday, the 20th, we continue with the Heritage of the Sutras. Anne and Nathaniel Rich will be talking about issues that are relevant to spiritual life. And you're all welcome.
Thank you all. So
Thank you, Kaisu, wow. Thank you. Wonderful to see everybody.
Thank you.
Well, and Ashley, great to have you with us. I haven't seen you before, I think, but glad you were with us.
Thank you, Kaisu. It's great to be here.
2 Canadians today.
Ah, great. All right. Be well, everybody, and hopefully see you soon.
Take
Love
care.
you all. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye, guys.